Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the old man gray beard. As you can see, it's starting to come in. I haven't had the time to change. It's been one heck of a week for Mr. and Mrs. Boom. I'm actually going to get my mohawk fixed after the show. That's right. I'm going to go get a haircut, maybe even shave a little bit. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have a lot to get into. Obviously, the panel, we have Crispy Bomb, we have Fuzzy Belvedere. We might have Silent Cypher. I'm not exactly sure. He usually jumps in every other week. And we may get someone, we may get one more in here. But listen, we have an outstanding show, some drama to jump into. If you are a PC player and you are currently playing and, well, quite enjoying Helldivers 2, you unfortunately are going to have to make a PSN account or you're going to be blocked out from playing the game. Now, what's interesting, Crispy Bomb, about this is because I recall a few weeks ago when people that were going to play Sea of Thieves on PSN had to make an Xbox account, and it was a world fire that was burning. How dare Microsoft make me make an account? And now PC players are feeling the same burn. No pun intended. Good morning, sir. How you feeling?
Well, I mean, it's going to be to the point where we're going to, if you play on the Xbox, you're probably going to have to make a PSN account at some point when they
Yeah, I would
start
imagine
dropping their
so.
games over here. Because, I mean, I think we're at that point, even watching the rebranding of Kind of Funny sounds very interesting, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
The way they're doing that now. Maybe they know something we don't. But all I got to say is, if you're a gamer, you may or may not like this. I see a lot of PC gamers are not happy, but we're going to get into the crux of the situation.
Oh, we certainly are. We definitely are. And you know something, it's the Kind of Funny rebranding, if you will. I at first did not like it because I have a 5 show a week program myself. I like how everything is its own thing. That's not going to change, even if Xbox and everyone even if there's games everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. Double Barrel Gaming is not going to change. I understand why Greg did it for the business, but I like the individuality of the shows. I don't like a bland, broad stroke of it just being the games cast with different hosts, because Paris and Mike are on this show, and Blessing and Greg are on this show. I like the individuality of it because you know what the talk is going to be like. So when you're here on Breakfast with Boom, it's a multi-plat show. We're gonna talk about everything. When you tune into Primetime Gaming, of course, again, multi-plat. But I like the 3 Xbox shows, and I think there's going to be a lot of Xbox news to get into over the years. So we're not changing. But again, Greg Miller is a good businessman. Kind of Funny is made a lot of money over the years. And you listen, if that's what they're going to do, that is what they're going to do. Fuzzy Belvedere, again, opening salvo, if you will, is going to be about the PSN accounts that must be made. Otherwise, the game that you paid for, you will not be able to play. And we know PC is doing the heavy lifting for
hmm
PlayStation with this game. Good morning, sir. How you feeling?
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here with everyone. Yeah, but I thought all those PlayStation guys had big rig PCs and stuff, so it shouldn't be a big deal, right? So no, but in all honesty, it's the sign of the times. I mean, we might as well get used to it. I mean,
Yep.
Xbox has been doing it for a while with things like Minecraft and stuff. So I don't understand how it's any of a surprise. I mean, everything is eventually like people have to realize Microsoft a lot of times tries things out first. They catch all
Yes,
the arrows, and then
indeed.
Sony is like, "Oh, the road's clear. Okay, now we can try it." So, yeah, it's just how things are. But man, we got a lot to talk about. Can't wait to get into it. Man, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, folks, strap in. Next 2 hours is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of big talk, a lot of topics to get into. Of course, we're going to get into the lead. One of the, obviously the lead thumbnail topic is Persona 6. Microsoft wants to make it exclusive. Can they get that done? I don't know. If they did, it would be ridiculous. But we're going to talk about that. And well, yesterday, a lot of hubbub happened over some conversation with Jez Corden, who pretty much clarified everything. Where there were some stories that were run based on a conversation that he had in the Discord for the Xbox 2 podcast. That is obviously a show that he does on a weekly basis with Randolph Thor 19. He clarified it with a couple of words, but we'll get into that as well. But let's Crispy Bomb, let's open up with the Helldivers conversation. Now, Helldivers, as you know, is one of the biggest hits for Sony when it regarding multiplayer in the last couple of years. Is it as big as it would have been if they released on Xbox? The answer is no. Right now, there is like a 60-40 split. I think it might even be a little bit more on PC versus PlayStation. And we know that thanks to some numbers from Matt Piscatella. Obviously, he had a conversation on Twitter where he had concluded that this is the 7th most successful title in PlayStation history when it comes to multiplayer. But what was interesting was the caveat that what's carrying this game is PC. And he said in the same tweet that if PC was not a part of the conversation, Helldivers 2 wouldn't even rank 20th on PlayStation's most played games, which is pretty sad. PlayStation gamers are, well, they're multiplayer gamers to some extent, right? They play Call of Duty, they play Apex Legends, they play Fortnite especially, they play soccer cars. So they do play multiplayer games, but they play a lot of free-to-play stuff. One of the things that we know about PlayStation gamers is they don't buy a lot of games. I mean, that's just facts. But this, Crispy, is interesting. Okay, so I have the press release from the official Helldivers 2 Twitter account, and it simply says, Helldivers, an important message from our partner PlayStation about account linking for PC players and its significance in providing player safety features. Read the full message here. So it's pretty stout. I'll link it if you guys and gals want to check it out in the after the show is run, or you can go over to the Helldivers account and you can see it. It's the last thing that they posted. It is pretty lengthy, and so I don't want to get into it because it will pull time away from the actual show. But I did pull a tweet from Nico Molier, who obviously Nico is a prominent member of the community. Consistently puts out amazing tweets like Idle Sloth, like Hazardor Gaming. And I pulled his in particular. Simply says, hashtag Helldivers 2 players on PC are now being forced to create a PSN account. Even if they don't own a PlayStation 5. And even and added to the conversation is, even if they've never will use the account in the future, they still need to create it. Now, this is where it gets a little dicey. If they don't, this is talking about PC players, they will be locked out of the game they've already purchased. This is not good. Now, I understand that this is being done for the monthly active users for PlayStation, MAUs as it will. I think that the industry as a whole, ladies and gentlemen, is numbers driven. It's numbers driven, so investment can come into the brand. I would imagine that these numbers are going to be incredibly important to what Sony does going forward, especially in the gas game aspect. Remember, they do still have several coming out. So further investment into many of these games that are in development, they're going to need this as backup to say, hey, if we're going to launch, here's a reason why we should do dual launches, meaning that they'll release on PC day and date with PlayStation 5. Now, will they expand on that? That's a possibility. Will they include Xbox in some of that? That's definitely a possibility. But I want to keep it tight. Crispy Bomb, PC players seem to be kind of rioting in the streets over this. I'm a little shocked by it only because if they play Xbox, they know had to do this for years. This is now the first time PlayStation is quote unquote forcing gamers to make a PSN account. And if they don't, the game that they've purchased, the game that they've been playing for the last couple of months, becomes unplayable. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the way they've done it is not good. We talk about Xbox stepping on rakes. Well, PlayStation, you just did that. You killed the momentum for this game. Most PC players, I mean, the adoption rate of PC Game Pass and such things is, downloading like games like Helldivers, that are multiplayer centric on Steam have not been the greatest. You know what I mean? Because they cautioned themselves about, signing up. Now, I mean, us console gamers have really been a part of this, like Ubisoft. We've had to make a Ubisoft account and stuff like that. I think doing it while the game has already launched and things like that is not smart. I'm also hearing that there's some regions that don't allow PSN or have PSN.
Great point. Something I forgot. Please expand on that because I think Egypt and there's another country that
Philippines.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Yes.
And there could be more. There could be more. And how do you go about that? The person has already purchased the game. Unless there's a work through whether the PC part is going to take over. It's just a bad look. I mean, let's be honest. If this game came out and you required this, like I believe Ghost of Tsushima kind of did that, right? When it released, right? And they got flack, but not the flack where you already have the game out on PC and now you're asking for this. This is what we would call a money or data grab. I would say more data. They want more data
100%.
and they want to see the engagement across all the releases of this game between PlayStation and PC. And I think they're killing the momentum that the game has already had. I think some people will be extreme and say, I'm done. And, when you look at those regions that can't touch it, well, are you going to compensate these people? I mean, what's the thought process? And this is things that we've called out on Xbox side. Like, hey, like you're not reading the room right now. And they're claiming that the reason why they need to do this is to be able to ban people. This is a PvE game. Why do you need to ban people?
That's a really great point, Crispy Bomb. I didn't even think about that. Maybe you should be the host.
I mean, seriously, it's kind of okay. Like if somebody's cheating in a game, I get it. And I understand, like, yeah, maybe they're taking away from the points you get. But I've experienced where I've played PvE games and a person has been higher levels than me, and the same thing. Like it feels like the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because you get to either buy or earn said weapons that do better than others. I mean, I experienced that in Outriders several times, even though, that game's like, bleh, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't really affect anybody. I mean, if anything, like if your friend, you don't even know if they're doing that or not. If they just have a better weapon or a better loadout, it could feel the same way as cheating. I don't understand why they feel the need that they have to ban people, and that's their reason. And that comes from the community manager of Arrowhead, by the way. Says oh, we need to be able to ban people. I mean, if it's PvP, I understand that because that directly affects how good you're going to be in the game. But as far as like, having help along the way, and I'm sure you get XP for, and I haven't played Helldivers, by the way, but I'm saying you probably get XP for beating said world or whatever it may be. I don't understand why it's that big of a deal. I think it's just their crux for saying we need to combine PlayStation and PC into the same realm so we get that data, or said, people possibly going to PlayStation if they want to play on console. I don't know the actual thought process, but it just doesn't make any sense. And then also, if you look at the breakdown, new players by May 15th or something, they have to have a PSN, and then May 30th is when everybody should have one, and then June 4th is when they're required to have one. I don't understand their breakdown of this. I think it's, if the game came out and had this caveat, by all means, okay, like we've done this before, but to do it right now, it's almost like, hey, let's kill the player base in the PC market, because players on PC, and I've seen this from my son, he just, if something doesn't work with him, he'll go to another game. And I think that's where we're going to say this was bad timing. This is stepping on a rake, and it's probably some big wig up there saying, like, we need this revenue or we need this data. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why they're doing it, and I hope they pivot a bit in some way. I mean, I understand why they want to do it, but I don't think they know how to read the room. And I think we've said this about Xbox many times, and I think they need to reverse this. I'm sorry, in my eyes, I think it would be beneficial for the game, and that's what I'm looking at.
Well, we'll see. So again, shout out to who was it? That, oh, man, where is it? Just here. Balatone in the chat says, "Good luck with refunds." Yep, good luck with that. If let's say, for instance, and I think where the rake stepping comes into play, Fuzzy Belvedere, is something that Crispy brought up. That was a phenomenal point. What if you're in a country that doesn't have PSN accounts, that doesn't have PlayStation? What do? You bought the game. You're playing the game. PC is, see, the thing about PC players, and I'm only talking from looking from the outside in because I'm not a PC player. But one of the mindsets of the PC player is that you can pretty much do anything, right? If you want to spec your box to make it the greatest things in sliced bread, you can do that. You play online for free. You download games for 75 cents. Like, this is a mindset that is the norm for PC players. Right. One of the things that they don't like is being told that they have to do something. And it was a lot of pushback with the whole Microsoft account thing. And I think it was a little bit easier for the Xbox Microsoft thing because, well, Microsoft is PC, PC is Microsoft. This is a little bit different. And it really does come out because supposedly, according to the story that I saw from VGC, this was enacted since inception of the game. It just wasn't activated until now. So blindsiding the community with this, I agree with Crispy here. It is a bad look, and you're going to see. I mean, the numbers were dropping because the game has been out a while, and that's what happens with these games. And there's nothing wrong with that. The game does not mean the game isn't good. The game is fantastic. I really do like it, but I think you're going to see the numbers severely drop off because of this. What are your thoughts?
Well, Crispy was right on the money as far as when it came to this. Should have been something they should have did from start. Doing it after the fact, it is solely for the data, and this will probably be the sacrificial lamb for them in learning how to manage a games as a service type of thing. I mean, we have to realize Xbox has been doing this for a little over a decade now. This is Sony's first kind of success as far as that space. So it makes sense that some big wig is like, hey, we need to see these numbers before we release a fair game, before we release a Concord or whatever the Jiggly Burger thing is. So if this one winds up taking the hit, which it's already taken a hit on the reviews, like the user reviews, they're going from the mainly or mostly positive to mostly negative now. It's going to be a nightmare as far as refunds are concerned because they've played more than 6 hours or 2 hours or whatever the case is. And there was even a recent update with the whole thing for Steam's refund policy to some extent. But there are certain exceptions that Steam makes, but this is going to be a tough one when it comes to something that you've had for 3, 4, 5 months now, tons of hours in, and then there's a policy change effectively going against what you might want to do. I think there is a case in certain regions, like where they have better consumer protections. Like Australia always comes to mind, where they probably have some of the best consumer protections. No matter what, it could be 2 years later, and you can still get refunds on stuff. So, it's going to be tough in those areas. But let Sony learn the hard way. I think they know that this is a success as far as for games as a service, and makes the point loud and clear as far as having day and date between console and PC, and how they navigate that moving forward with single player games. We'll see. I think they kind of understand that the marketing and the buzz around the title, even a single player for that matter, has a certain window. And if you wait 2 to 4 years later to put it on PC, is that window even open? No, probably not. I mean, you'll get your diehards and maybe a few that are double dippers type of thing, but in the grand scheme of things, you would do so much better on a day and date. But as far as this whole deal, personally, I don't have an issue with it. I think I've already linked my PSN with Steam, so it's like I kind of see the writing on the wall long term. Like Xbox, Steam, PlayStation. Like if a publisher is on Steam, you're probably going to need to link your account. Like it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, there are some workarounds, but if you don't want to have any type of linking or any type of thing along those lines, GOG is probably the next best bet. But then again, they're owned by CD Projekt Red, so it's not completely, free of any future changes. Like right now, they're pretty hands off on that stuff. But it is what it is. I think it'll take a player hit for a bit. I don't think it'll completely kill off the game where it drops below the top 100 played or anything like that. But I do think it will take a nice chunk of probably their more dedicated players, and they'll probably move on to something else, like you guys said. PC players are a different animal, and this is a console company trying to figure out how PC players, interact with their games. And if this is the learning curve that PlayStation needs to go through, they'll learn the hard way. But it's probably, at least on PlayStation's end, it's probably better if they learn it now than before they release fair game and then try to do the same nonsense, 3 months after the release. Just have this as a mandatory thing from jump. Now, will that give them accurate data as far as if that type of game would have done better without having the linking or whatnot? Who knows? And we'll see how that stuff goes. But this is just their baby steps, let's just say, of figuring out games as a service, and they're going to step on a bunch more rakes, I'm pretty sure, between now and the time that Marathon gets released. So we'll see how that goes, and don't be surprised if you have to link your PSN to your Xbox account for Marathon. I mean, let's be real and figure it out now, and if we're going to be upset about it, so be it. But yeah, don't be surprised. So this is just the start.
Again, it's one of those things that's unfortunate. First of all, let me catch up on the super chats here, because Hargeet, first of all, Hargeet, welcome as always, and thank you for the generosity. He brings up a great point. Sith Lord drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "May the 4th be with you tomorrow, indeed." And Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the 5th on Sunday for those who celebrate it. The Phantom Menace is 25 years old. It's celebrating its anniversary. It's back in theaters, which is pretty dope. I went to the theaters to actually see that. You know what's crazy? I have a Darth Maul shirt that Mrs. Boom bought me that still fits, and it didn't fit a couple of years ago, and then obviously I got serious with the with the health, and I keep it. It's 25. It still looks pretty freaking good. I wear it sparingly, but I actually have a T-shirt right over there, folks. That's 25 years old. Crazy that it's that long ago. Oh my God, she bought it for me for the midnight showing. I went with all my friends, like big nerds that we are. And I still actually have that shirt. So shout out to you. Thank you for the generosity. Hargeet Chani drops an outstanding $10 super chat. And he says this is where Xbox being Windows helps. If you have Windows, you almost are assuredly to have a Windows Live ID, which is your Xbox account. So logging in with Xbox with your Xbox account is easy on PC, not so much for PSN. That's a freaking great point.
Absolutely
Iman,
amazing point.
yeah, it's a phenomenal point. Iman Burns drops, who's been a channel member for 23 months. Brother, that is crazy generous of you. He says it's to make the PS5 numbers look better. It'll never get the same. Get the game boom. Sony looking bad. You're Jez Naughty Boy getting drunk on Twitter. I mean, he gets drunk a lot, which that may be an inherent problem personally that I think that he should get some help for, because he does like to drink, which is his prerogative. Hopefully he doesn't drink enough to get himself sick. I love Jez. Hopefully, Jez, if you're listening, you're going to be in LA this year. We got to meet up, brother. I'm going to go crazy, let my hair down, and I'm going to have a ginger ale with some lemon. That's as crazy as I'm going to get. But I'll buy you a drink, kind sir. Listen, we'll see what happens. I'm sure that this is a story that is going to be closely looked upon. I want to see how the gaming media responds. We saw a story from VGC, which they're pretty. I listen. You may not like them. I like VGC. I like Andy Robinson and the crew. I think they're pretty fair. So they've already reported on it, and I think that I want to wait and see what the IGNs and the GameSpots and the Kotakus have to say about this, because it is going to be a numbers drop for Sony. And as we have heard many times before, PC is in fact carrying this game. PC players have been, and I think they will continue to do so. I don't necessarily know. Again, the last time that I checked, it was a higher 60% PC versus a lower 40, higher 30% for PlayStation gamers that are playing this game. That's a confirmed fact. You can go and you can check it. I don't know if that is going to now shrink. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see the next couple of days where this actually goes. But I want to move on, ladies and gentlemen, to the next topic. Now, again, this is for me, it doesn't hold as much weight as for a lot of people here. I'm not a Persona player. I think the game is great for people that enjoy it. I did, in fact, try it. I bought the collector's edition for the PlayStation 4 for Persona 5, thinking that, hey, everyone's talking about this game. I like JRPGs. Let me get into this. And after my 6th train ride, I'm like, yep, this is just not for me. And it's fine. Not every game is for every gamer. Crispy Bomb. So I want to go to you first, because this story was brought to light by Ecstasies. Now, he is a Spanish from Spain YouTuber that is, well, he's an Xbox guy, and he has a great podcast, and he's been on my show I think twice. I got to get him back on for sure. Now, he put this out there, and again, this is one of those, take it with a grain of salt. We're not confirming anything. This is not locked in stone, but he is a great source, and he has even greater sources. So when he does say something, I kind of like to give it a good look. So anyone that is a Persona player that's enjoying all of the Persona games on Xbox Game Pass, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the brand, because for a while Persona games weren't available on Xbox. It was one of those things. It's one of those games that skipped the platform. And obviously, Well, the publisher wants to make money like everyone else, and now it's made a lot of money for them being not only on the console if you want to buy it, but being in Game Pass. I'm sure they got a very large bag from Microsoft. Well, Crispy, this is what he had to say. And he starts with exactly what I just said. Take it with a grain of salt. But Reddit's Final Fantasy XIV Xbox leaker, who he's using as a source, who was right with the Final Fantasy XIV stuff to the T, says this: Microsoft is looking to work with major publishers on cloud gaming exclusivity deals. According to this leaker, Microsoft has made an offer to make Persona 6 a console exclusive with cloud streaming available for purchased versions. This offer has currently been rejected, but Microsoft has other potential exclusive deals in the works. So as the rumor is, they have said no to the initial offer on making Persona 6 exclusive to Xbox. Now, what's interesting with this is, Crispy, as you and Fuzzy and myself know, money does a lot of talking. And I think that if there's an additional zero being added to this conversation, maybe they do some sort of a timed exclusive. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years. But getting Persona 6 exclusive would be massive. And what's interesting with that, I think that really does stab two parts of the body, because I think it disproves that everything that Xbox is going to be involved with is going to go multi-plat, including their own stuff. So I think if they're still trying to get exclusives through deals, if this is true, that I think that really does debunk a lot of the, the fervor of everything is going over to a PlayStation at some point. Let's talk about Persona 6 though. Would this be a big deal as an exclusive for Xbox?
It, it would be a big deal, especially in the Asian market. Okay. The problem is that I don't think this is, I think this is true. What I think is happening is Xbox is kind of, rippling the water, as we like to call it, kind of dipping their toe in and saying, hey, does anybody have any interest in this? And I believe, like, if they don't do this, what will happen is somebody else might step in and be like, we're down for this. Could it be Square? I mean, we saw those financials. Could they be like, you know what? Like, this might work for us. It's one of those things. Like, I feel like Microsoft's like, we have to take this seriously because we're not really truly a global brand yet. Yes, our Windows is a global brand, but can we make Xbox? Because, the revenue has exceeded Windows at times in the past few months. Why not try to dip our toe in and say, can we be a global brand? And it requires games that, us in America or, in the West may not gravitate towards. That's an us problem. I'm not saying everyone, but there are games that are super successful in other regions that are not successful here, and vice versa. So to be a global brand, you need to, kind of court the gaming companies that are over there and say, hey, look, like, we want this. Could it happen? Sure. Is it going to happen as of now? I mean, it's been rejected. So I'm going to leave it at that and just say, like, I feel like Xbox is finally like, okay, we're going to take this seriously. And I think this is a good step to going forward.
It is. It is a great step moving forward. And everything you said is spot on. And I agree 1,000%. Fuzzy Belvedere, I want to bring you in the conversation. I have a thought and a theory. Now, I don't know Microsoft's plans, right? We're all podcasters. We're all, on many shows. We're all hosts. We're all, part of big and small panels. So we are in it, so to speak, when it comes to the business of gaming. Now, are we businessmen and women? No, we are not. Do we have degrees? Well, I guess some people do, but I don't. But I do like to think that I have a pointed and well-rounded opinion when it comes to the business of gaming, because a lot of it seems to be common sense. Now, people like Microsoft kind of step on some rakes and get it wrong sometimes, but occasionally they do great and they get it right. Well, where I think that this whole thing is moving and where it looks like they're potentially positioning themselves is the handheld that is rumored to be announced in June. Now, a handheld may be a normal thing these days with ROG Ally and the Steam Deck and all of the other ones that are available, which is great. I have a ROG Ally. I don't put as much use into it as some others, but it's great to have that option, right? It's there. You play it on the go when you're on the couch watching something with the missus and you don't want, you're kind of dual watching. You play a little Vampire Survivors. It's great. Where I think something where, and again, this is just an opinion, folks. It's not documented, lock it in kind of information, but it does make a lot of sense. Microsoft is doing a lot of work for specific games that are not confirmed, but are potentially on the way. And one of which is StarCraft. StarCraft is going to come back in a big way. But Persona 6, I think that even if they don't get it exclusive, if they got an exclusive, it would be killer. But if they can get it into Xbox Game Pass day and date, and at the same time that this game comes out, there is a handheld portable that is available in Korea, in Japan, and in China. What you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, is a seismic shift into what Xbox does outside of the Americas and some of the other places that they do well in. If they could get into these markets with these two particular games using a newly announced handheld that's going to count as a console sale, kind of like what happens with Sony and their console sales with their handheld, it is going to change the scope and the scale of the market. And it starts with games like Persona 6. Again, not a game for me, Fuzzy, but for a lot of people, especially in regions where console gaming is very not the norm anymore. 10 years ago, people would stand online for 2 days to get a new console. That's not the case. Korea, Japan, especially China, they're PC players, but they're also mobile players and handheld players for that matter. They get a handheld in there. This is going to be a very big difference for Microsoft. Let's talk about it.
Well, before I get into the handheld, good point that like Crispy made all as well, as far as like dipping their toes in it, seeing if there's other fish that might bite at like, those exclusive deals. And that's something that they really need to do more of.
Yep.
But I've joked about this before. Given the wallet size that they have, even if they don't get the exclusivity, I think there's a case to be made that make it more expensive for your competition to the point where they have to break out the big bucks to pay for it. So let's say you make a bid for, $500 million for an IP. They turn it down because they're like, well, we should be able to make a couple billion off of this. So they turn that down. I don't think Sony can come in behind them and say 400 million and get the deal. Because if Microsoft is willing to give you $500 million, then Sony's now got to give $500 million plus. So I think there's some of that kind of chess move strategy going into effect. Like they've probably heard our shouts long enough as far as like, you guys need to be more competitive. And yeah, they're still competitive in many different ways, but going there and having it where you can make the bidding war harder for your competition and they have the cash to do it, would probably tie up things and make it so Sony has less of an advantage doing that. Like they just can't sneak in the back door and be like, hey, here's a couple bucks. Can you give us this? And normally, people would, bow and say, okay, Sony will do it. But Now, if they know Microsoft is serious enough with a bigger checkbook to do that, yeah, Sony's going to have to, borrow some money or partner with people like Apollo and stuff like that to come up with cash to do these deals. So I wanted to at least get that out there, that I think that that's part of some of the stuff they're doing. But you're right. When it comes to a handheld in those regions with a title like Persona 6, that would be a huge combination. I mean, even if they just get like the streaming rights or like the Game Pass rights, I think that would be huge enough to the point where it would help them get into those markets a lot deeper. Like they're only, 1 or 2%, as far as the market share. So if they could get, upwards of 5 to 10% or something like that, that's a huge windfall for them as far as to go from that very low number to, even if it's just an incremental, but that incremental when you've only been making, let's say a million sales for your hardware in like a 2 or 3 year period, and you go to like triple that in a year, that gives you more of a push to be able to say, hey, what's her name? Amy Hood. Can we go ahead and make a deeper dive into exploring a few more other options? Like we can definitely grow the brand, but this is what helped grow the brand. So we need to do more of this. And that will give them better data and better examples to be able to move forward with that. But a handheld in that region, having something like Persona 6, that would be almost as great as like their next gen console teaming up with like Grand Theft Auto 6 as like a marketing rights thing. So those are the two types of things that if Xbox is going to start doing moving forward, that's as much as people say, oh, they're bowing out of the console business and blah, blah, blah. That would show completely a 180 of that, which we kind of know is a one. It's they're not bowing out. It's just a matter of they're looking to make the most cash they can, and sometimes it hurts our feelings or whatever. But if they can do deals like that Persona deal or other ones with like a Square or with Capcom and things along those lines, I think that's a good strategy because it brings more eyes onto your software and hardware without people saying, oh, I'll just wait for it to come over to the box I already have in front of my TV kind of thing. So kudos on them for trying that if that rumor's true, which I kind of believe it is. And I think we've heard something like this before as far as like, Sony would want Persona 6 as an exclusive, but I think Xbox might get it kind of thing. And I've heard that like ever since Persona came to Xbox. So where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So there's probably a lot of truth behind that.
Well, I mean, the one thing you will say about the business that Microsoft or the way that they contracted out, isn't that what was the game that was just announced?
The Metaphor or something.
Metaphor. That's coming into Game Pass day and date. That's a freaking really big deal. Like really a big deal. Again, not so much for me. I mean, will I try it? Yeah, I'll probably give it a go. It's in Game Pass, so it's no harm, no foul for downloading and trying it out. And if it's not for me, well, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they have that kind of relationship where a new IP that large that is going to be a system seller, people are going to go out in droves and buy that, and that's coming out to everything. Tells me that the Persona 6 thing, they want it. Again, this is just speculation. I'm sure that they're already contracted or already in talks to get Persona 6 day and date in Game Pass. It makes perfect sense. To make it exclusive, though, that is pretty ballsy if this report is true. And it goes to show you that the whole we're getting out of the business and we're selling everything is just so dumb. It's just such a terrible narrative that if you're running with it, shame on you. Come on. I mean, let's make it make sense, as the kids like to say. Mm-hmm. Look, we are already rolling. We through two big topics. We have a couple more to get into here. I do want to get into the Hell Jumpers. I will back end that because I do want to talk about some of the stuff that happened yesterday over the socials regarding poor Jez Corden, who got, I mean, listen, Jez is a very prominent member of this community. He is a prominent member of the journalistic community. Jez is one of us, right? Yes, he works for Windows Central. Yes, he is a professional journalist. And some of the things he says can move mountains. Is he going to move markets? No. But can he move some ideas? Can he move some fans around with some of the stuff he says? Yeah, potentially. He knows he has that power. Sometimes, he's drunk. Sometimes he says things he probably shouldn't said, and I'm sure he's well aware of that. But I think what happened was blown out of proportion. He responded to it. I have all of that information. We're going to get into that right now. But before we get there, I do want to thank Silly Mikey, who drops a prominent. And now again, it's a $13.99 CA super chat, which equates to probably around $14 US. Brother, that is very kind of you, very generous. Silly Mikey, he says, so MS are treating their cloud the way they should also be treating their console cloud exclusives ? And I think that cloud gaming is going to be much bigger. I don't know when they say exclusive to cloud gaming, what I think they meant. And again, this is just speculation. I could be 1,000% wrong here, gentlemen. I think it's cloud exclusive to cloud Xbox cloud gaming rather than it being available in cloud on other things. That's my speculation. I'm probably wrong, but again, any kind of exclusivity for something as big as Persona would just freaking be massive.
I think
Persona
you're
is
onto something. Yeah, because
talk about please expand on that.
I think you're right on that because we have to look at Netflix. Netflix has been doing a lot of exclusives. Like one game that just
Yep.
came out last week was a Netflix exclusive for a bit, and the same thing with Apple Arcade. I think those are their two biggest targets as far as when it comes to console streaming or cloud streaming type stuff. If you look at Apple Arcade and Netflix, they only deal in exclusives. So if you ever wonder why a game hasn't come to Game Pass that would normally be there, and then you see it come later, it's probably because of Apple Arcade or Netflix.
That makes sense. And again, thank you for the clarification because now I'm even more happy that I said that theory in my mind because in my mind I was like that doesn't sound right, but now it makes a lot of sense, so I'm happy. Look, let's talk about what happened yesterday regarding the conversation that Jez Corden of Windows Central and the Xbox 2 podcast was having on the Discord server for the Xbox 2 podcast. Now, there is a person that has deleted his original accusation, who goes by the tag humdrumdog0211 on Twitter. So I guess you can call it a press release. It's pretty lengthy. So it just goes to show you how pissed Jez Corden was of being accused of what he was accused of. Now, Jez Corden said some things, and this ex-user accused Jez Corden of suggesting that the reason why the exclusivity is no longer going to be a thing for Xbox is because of Xbox fans. And Jez was really pointed on that particular point. You can tell that the rage meter was at 11. So let me read you exactly what Jez Corden posted. Seeing people spreading this out of context comment, then acting like I was blaming Xbox fans, which is BS taken out of context. Now, he said the word, but I don't want to say it here. I was thinking about the way Microsoft identifies trends, like going all digital, but then F's up the messaging. Content creators didn't wait 5 minutes for the details on the DM sharing system, which isn't far removed from what Steam is doing now. You had lots of content created on the backlash, and Microsoft was caught totally off guard because they're great at identifying trends, but not so great at positioning and messaging them. And that's very true. I've argued that they are too data-driven. I could be wrong, but this could be another example of them identifying a trend too early, giving Sony a monopoly, and then wondering where they went wrong. I never once blamed fans and I resent the accusation from Humdrum Dog 0211. I advocate so hard for Xbox fans every single day. Now, since then, this ex-user has deleted his post and tucked his tail between his leg and just kept it moving. Now, why did it spark so much outrage? Crispy Bomb is because once again, in this accusation from this ex-user, uh, Halo, Gears, and Forza were going to be on the block to go to PlayStation 5. Now, why this is interesting is something that Stein, who is the senior community managing the market manager for Xbox, had to say about it. Now, I have Stein's stuff in front of me. Give me a second to pull it up because it's very pointed as well. So Stein, let me just give you his exact title. He is the senior social media manager for Xbox. And he, of course, responded to a lot of the stories that were being written about what Jez Corden had to say. And, of course, a lot of the conversation that was happening during yesterday's Fever's pitch with Xbox going all a multi-plat all over again. So Stein says this: a timely reminder that many accounts / people here will monetize off of your clicks, shares, comments, and he has in parentheses good and bad, and will be encouraged to post the most believable, sensational bait content for rumors. And my friend's brother, whose stepdad leaked this insider, takes you to get for you to engage. He goes on to say that we're on a giant wet rock hurling through infinite space for a small and short existence of consciousness. Have fun, enjoy the things you love. Nothing is that serious. Eat some cheese and enjoy your video games, making light of the whole thing that Halo, Gears, and Forza are going to PlayStation. Jez Corden has just let the ton of cats out of the bag. I'm glad that Jez Corden has responded to it. I think he has taken a bit of a break from social media because he was getting pretty bad with a lot of both support and a lot of negativity. So he has just disengaged, and I'm happy for him. He probably shouldn't come back to social media for a couple of days. Let these things just go, because obviously he's going to keep reiterating everything he's already said. And there's no reason for it, because we know that, yes, some games will eventually make it to PlayStation. And we know that because Sea of Thieves and Grounded are selling pretty damn well, and Microsoft wants to make money. I don't like that. I've said it. I'm going to die on this hill, and it's fine, but I understand the business. Let's get into all of the hubbub, Crispy Bomb, that happened yesterday, and of course the comments from Jez Corden.
Well, first I want to say, from what Jez said, he hasn't drank since December.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so that's great.
So I mean, that's what he said. The fact is that I think this all stems from Xbox 2. What he said was completely his opinion. Okay. And my opinion is, at some point, maybe 5 years down the road, we're going to be at a point where a lot of games that are tent poles possibly will be talked about like this again. I don't think that's right now. And I think that is because Xbox has a plan to leverage their partners, which includes Epic with Unreal Engine. And I think they know that they have something that PlayStation, I mean, they have their games, they look great, but they're not utilizing the same software. And it seems to me that people don't realize how many games are going to be built and Unreal Engine. And I feel like, we're going to get to June and people are going to completely understand, and it's going to be a snap of the fingers. Now, that's not to say that some of these games might not come to PlayStation years down the road, because they're already releasing on PC. They don't have the problems that Sony has right now. Like we just reiterated with Helldivers, okay? Like, let's be honest here. All right, Microsoft has been far ahead of this. Most of these games, if not all of them, are coming on PC. That's good for you. You want to play on PC? They don't care. You want to subscribe to Game Pass? They don't care. We want people's eyes on this. We want everything to happen for a reason. Okay? Sea of Thieves all of a sudden became how high of a score compared to when it released? Like,
yeah, I have that actually in front of me. It's pretty interesting how high of a score. I think it's 86 versus 69 and 67 on. But they should just re-review it on PC and re-review it on Xbox to match that PlayStation 5
but they probably won't do that. I mean, let's be honest with them. Like, they're not going to do that. I mean, you got Hellblade 2 coming up. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, from what I've heard, and then this is where I love that, I am one of them people that this showcase, the amount of people that have been talking about why we want to see Gears is crazy. Like, I'm talking like thousands of people that are like, we want to see Gears, and Xbox, and they're at Xbox, at Xbox P3, all the, and none of them have said a damn word. That tells me that it's going to happen. But I think Hellblade 2, they don't want to take any glory from it. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that Gears is going to be there, but they know what they have, and they have invested heavily in making UE something special for that, Xbox itself, but also PC. And that's why you don't see Epic's focused on Fortnite. That's what they're focused on. They don't have to worry about making what they have made in UE5 better. They have Xbox to do that. They don't care. Okay? Their investment in the engine and making it even better is all helped by Xbox, because you see games. I mean, I'm in the speculation territory that State of Decay 3 might show up. Okay? And I think they've been using UE as long as a lot of these other devs. So they know what they're doing. So you have to understand that at this point, they don't know how to go about it. They just keep their mouth shut, which we've asked them to do at times. Have we not? So Jez speculates on something. He says, look, we're at this point where, gaming is becoming not what we remember, but something new. And it just so happens that Xbox is leading the charge.
Yes.
And we see PlayStation slowly kind of like tortoise-like, basically, the hair,
dipping their toe into the cold water, sir.
And then going, no, that's not good. But then all of a sudden, when they dip their whole foot in, all of a sudden it's Helldivers 2, and it's like, okay, like we've been through this process with Xbox. Like, if you're new to Xbox, you don't understand. Like, we've been through this process. Okay, we've been through, hey, we're gonna do this. Like you had Gears of War 1 go to PC, and then Gears 2 and 3 didn't go to PC. And that's the reason why you should have the Phoenix Collection. Okay, that's the whole reason. Like, you can ignore everything else. But that's where I go and say, like, people are like, oh, Gears is going to go to PlayStation. Well, I'll curb some ponies. I'm good with that. Okay, but I'm a gearhead. All right, some of y'all that never played Gears, I would like that to be only on Xbox, just so you can experience the ecosystem and how everybody is actually really nice to each other. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I rarely go into a lobby and I get some kind of hate or something. You know, if anything, they're like, you know, like, oh, this is great. Like, you know how to play this game. But that's where I go and say, you know, Jez is just thinking outside the box. And I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people are not okay with it. And you know, I get the hi-fi rush talk and all that stuff. I understand it. And that's where I say I can agree with what you're saying in your opinion, but I don't agree on what the outcome's going to be. And the outcome is going to be that games are going to be more accessible across all platforms. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen within my lifetime. We're not going to care about the plastic box anymore. All right. Like, I love my plastic. I don't play on PC. I play on my Series X. All right. And that's my choice. But I don't hate nobody that plays on PC or plays on PlayStation. The fact is that there's going to be this kind of nuance where people are going to have subsets of their fandom at some point, and it's going to be about games rather than the ecosystem they're in. And I think that's an actual positive, not a negative.
Yes, I agree. And again, solid points across the board, brother. As always, listen, Fuzzy Belvedere, before we bring you in, I got to catch those, which is, my God, there's been so many of them. So let me do that, and we're going to get into this. And then we're going to get into the Hell Jumpers thing. I have that queued and ready to rock and roll. The story from Windows Central was dope. And this thing sounds so freaking good. I cannot wait to get into it. But JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, imagine if Sony acquired Paramount. Yeah, they pitched an offer for $26 billion in cash along with a partner. And if they do, one of the things that was brought to my attention by several of the amazing, you know, sleuths of the interwebs, you know, the detectives that we have here, is that they would own Nickelodeon, which owns the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Interesting. And you know what? I read a story where if they acquire Paramount, they're going to be moved from 5th to 4th in streaming. And again, it's $26 billion in cash with Sony proper and a partner. We'll see if that gets passed. It would be interesting that they went that route and didn't do something in gaming, like, I don't know, maybe own Square Enix. But we'll see what happens. Thanaros drops a very generous $10 super chat. And good morning, Thanaros, and thank you for the generosity. He goes on to say this. This is just another example of Xbox fans getting mad over someone in the community who said something they didn't agree with. Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot. It's almost like this is not just for Xbox fans. This is for everybody. This is for all fans. It just seems like the people are standing over the button for torches and pitchforks. Go! And everyone, yeah, they're riding and they're getting all excited. I'd like to kind of sit back and just, you know, take it in. I don't like rumors. I think what happened at the beginning of the year with all the games going everywhere, it just really fractured the community. I think it really should have taught us a lesson as to wait until we hear this from the actual talking heads at Microsoft that matter, that can make these decisions. If Sarah Bonds is saying it, it's true. If Aaron Greenberg is saying it, and Phil Spencer and Matt Booty are saying it, well, it's true. Jez, as much as I love him, gets it wrong sometimes. Hell, I get it wrong at least 25% of the time based on something that I read. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go with this, and it's wrong. And then what do? I come back with my tail tucked between my legs, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, folks, I got it wrong. I shouldn't have used this source. That's the nature of the business. So dealing in absolutes with rumors, something we should not do. So great. Thank you for the generosity, brother, and great point. Hey, Blinken, it drops a very generous $10 super chat. And this is really nice. He says, you, sir, are not a boob. That's very kind of you to say. That you are the tip of the spear podcast host. Awesome show and great panel. That is incredibly kind. What a nice thing to hear. I super appreciate that, and I also appreciate the generosity. We also have JJ saying 117 drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. It says ABK, some Bethesda, gas games will be multiplat. I mean, yeah, it's just it's the business. And again, I have said this, and I will stay. I will never sign off on certain games being multiplat. I'm just an old head or an old guard. It's fine. I know where my faults lie. I'm never going to. I'll never play those games on another console. Like if Forza Horizon 5, let's just say for shits and giggles, went over to PlayStation, it'd probably make a lot of money. Do I agree with it? 1,000% no, I do not. But am I a person in charge of making these big money decisions? Well, no, there too. So sometimes you just gotta, you can not like it, but like Macho Man Randy Savage says, you might not like it, but you gotta accept it. So there you go. Z Black Rider. Good morning, kind sir. Welcome to the program as always. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, anyone not excited about the future of Xbox might need to find a new hobby. Hashtag the crispy truth. Indeed, kind sir. I absolutely agree there.
He is the founder. I'm saying he is the founder. He's my man. Salute, brother.
Salute to you, Z Black Right. I appreciate the generosity. And Starfield guy, hey, what's going on, brother? Welcome back. He drops a very generous £2 super chat. He says, hi, Boom. I'm watching you live on the runway. That is freaking so cool. Well, be careful. Obviously, keep your head on the swivel, as we like to say. And thanks so much for checking it out. And of course, thank you for the generosity, Starfield guy. Okay, so let's talk about this, Fuzzy. What are your takeaways from the whole Jez Corden shenanigans, if you will?
I mean, Jez does have access to some inside stuff, but a lot of times he'll do kind of like what we do in certain instances where he'll make, speculations or he'll give his opinion on things. And some of it, is how he sees things possibly moving. And other times it's kind of like what you would expect a company to do at certain points. I like Jez. I communicate with him on Twitter, on occasion, as well as Discord and stuff. But as far as the stuff with Xbox, I've after the business update, I've kind of, put all the, whatever titles coming over. I figure if anything is doing well over there, there's going to be more. Now, what those more are, at this point, I don't really care. As long as those games come to my, Game Pass subscription, I'm cool. But outside of that, like I've said, even myself, I've said, if Forza Horizon 5 went over there, I would not be a fan of it. I'm not suggesting it does, but I know it will do numbers. And somebody in the, bean counter section that, plays with the abacus and make sure that all the numbers are in black instead of red, they would probably look at that and say, hey, well, that might be a way to, pull those PlayStation players over to Xbox when we release Horizon 6 in 26 or whatever the case may be. And there might be some truth to that. There might not, but you have to understand, Sea of Thieves is doing phenomenally well over there. Grounded is doing better. Now, Hi-Fi Rush didn't meet the numbers, and I'm pretty sure Pentiment didn't meet the numbers that they may have hoped for. So this was listed as a test. And there was no promise that no more games other than the Starfield thing. And I think there was one other one that was mentioned. But I think with the test, they found that, hey, games as a service over there might be a thing to continue doing. So 2 games as a service do well over there. Sony's having a hard time with games as a service. What better way to keep them at having a problem with games as a service than to keep loading them with games as a service that gets more of their users using your software. So it is what it is. But as far as the thing that Jez says, I hate that sometimes things get clipped in limited context, because he'll say on occasion, on the Xbox 2 or even in Discord or even on Twitter, hey, I wonder if I make up something, who will pick it up kind of thing. And that happens on occasion. He could say, Phil Spencer doesn't drink, coffee anymore. He only drinks, coconut milk or something weird. And somebody will pick it up and be like, oh, well, apparently Phil Spencer is eating healthier or drinking. Like, you have to understand, just like Stein said, there are going to be people on Twitter that are monetized, and they will say things, some of it in jest, some of it in seriousness, but a lot of times they might not even be trying to garner, engagement, but they'll say something just as what they might think as a joke in that moment, and then people run with it as if it was like a stone cold fact type of thing. So I think we have to, just with any media or social media platform, take everything with a grain of salt, take a step back, look at the big picture, see if it's something that makes sense at the time, or if it's just somebody speculating on something that might make sense in certain scenarios. But I don't have any ill will or issue with what Jez may or may not have said in Discord and things like that. I just look at it as we've all speculated on things Xbox related, whether it's something that's going to appear at a showcase or it's something that we would like to see them bring back as far as an IP. That happens. But as far as the discourse about it, yeah, he does hold a little bit more weight, so it could be somewhat damaging as far as the overall Xbox, branding. But you'll have people like Stein that'll come out there and, squash those things. When they don't come out to squash things, that's when you probably should be more concerned. But then again, they can't come out and squash every bad news story, because then they'll spend all of their time doing that, because the other side of the platform, or those other side preferred platform podcasts and whatnot, will always come up with something like those were a lot of the ones that were the loudest about, the whole slate, but aren't worried about a roadmap for their preferred platform. Those are the same ones that are like, oh, they're getting out of the business in 2026, but not, all silent about like the PS Portal being counted as a console. And right now, we only really hear the PC players complaining more so about the whole PSN thing, but none of the PlayStation guys are complaining about that. The only thing they were complaining is that, those guys don't have to pay for PSN to play the game. And they're going to sign in or create this account and still not have to pay. So it is what it is. But the PlayStation side of things, they love to pick up these stories and make them run even further. And in some of the news media people, I think they purposely seek out these types of stories for the engagement. So even if Jez didn't have an intention of it going anywhere, the engagement farming places like your IGNs and such are going to pick it up and run with it and spin it how they see fit. But it's just the nature of social media.
It's also disappointing. Sapo in the chat says, why is that the rumors seem to carry more weight than what the actual heads of Xbox are saying? And that's a phenomenal point.
Good point.
They shouldn't carry any weight because they're just rumors. And like I said, when we hear it from from people like Sarah Bond, who is the president of Xbox, or Phil, or Aaron, or Matt, then that, this is happening. Until you hear it from them directly, take it with a grain of salt. Let's welcome in Dreadpool. Dread, thanks so much for joining us, brother. Great to have you back.
Oh, man, you don't understand how hectic it was just to reformat the PC and get it up and running, just to get OPS back on and all this stuff. So, yeah, thanks. Happy to be here. Forget breakfast because I was busy panicking.
Well, listen, we're great to have you back here. What we're, obviously you missed a couple of topics. We're going to get into a big one momentarily. Want to welcome in close to 700 people watching live. That's across Twitter and of course YouTube. Like I like to do, and I'm scolded by Randolph Thor when I don't. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We are on the hunt for 15K. We've done actually pretty good in the last couple of days with new subs, and I think that has a lot to do with me submitting to the overlords of YouTube. As you've noticed, I'm now cutting down these shows into smaller, more digestible videos. So I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. People like the 15-minute to 20-minute clips that I do. We take out a lot of the middle stuff, so it's just really straight to the point. of the topic at hand. And I've been doing some shorts, and that will continue. I'm going to be doing a lot of coverage from boots on the ground at Summer Games Fest, at the Xbox Showcase. There's also the IGN Live event. There's one of the events that was just announced today was the Giant Bomb Live that is happening Sunday evening. So there's a lot going on for that's in June. That's no longer called E3, but we're gonna have boots on the ground and we're gonna be covering it. So you'll get a lot of videos and shorts that way. So a big thank you to anyone that has already subscribed. But if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Let me just make sure we're up to date with all the super chats, and we are. So let's get into the last topic. Now, this one's exciting for me personally because I am a Halo Infinite freak master. I got over 20 days in the game. I play it religiously. It's my favorite multiplayer. I am actually pretty damn good at it. Great for maybe not, but I'm pretty good. I hold my own for being an old man. So I have the story in front of me, and it is something that if you are a fan of Helldivers 2, if you are someone that wished Helldivers 2 was on an Xbox, well, thanks to a story by Windows Central written by Brendan Lowry, well, we're now going to get our chance, because according to the story, this Helldivers 2 mode for Halo Infinite is coming in June, and boy, oh boy, does it sound fantastic. Now, what I love about the way that they do their reporting at Windows Central is they have this very nice, compact, what you need to know section. And it really does sum up what we're going to cover specifically here on this last topic of the show. And it goes on to say this: Arrowhead Game Studios' PvE co-op shooter Helldivers 2 is one of 2024's biggest games on PC and PlayStation 5. However, it is not available on Xbox and isn't likely to be in the future since it's published by PlayStation. Now, I think that is going to change because Sony is going to want money, especially if they're going to be investing in this $26 billion cash grab for Paramount. So I would see that this is going to happen sooner than later. By the end of the year, I don't think so. To start 2025, yes, I do believe so. It goes on to say, Crispy, soon, however, Xbox fans will have an alternative that they can turn to. Helljumpers is an ambitious PvE mode for the free-to-play multiplayer shooter Halo Infinite that's being made by the Forge Falcons, a legendary team of community forgers. Helljumpers will be a Halo and ODST-themed spin on Helldivers 2 with procedural objectives, in-game progression, upgrade systems, boss fights, extraction, drop pods, and much, much more. It takes advantage of the fact Halo Infinite developer 343 Industries added campaign AI to its level editor tool Forge in Season 5 of last year. And finally, the Forge Falcons team has revealed that its plans to release Helljumpers in June will launch in the early part of the month, and it's that's planned for. However, it will push back a few more weeks if it's needed as they get closer to launch. Crispy, Mr. Multiplayer himself, this sounds freaking awesome. And if it's as good as I think it's going to be, they can keep Helldivers. I will play Helljumpers. Let's get your take.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like, I don't play Halo like you, Boom. Love you to death. I don't. The one thing that I like is PvE. I like the story of Halo. I just not great at the game. I'm not. And this intrigues me. And the one thing that people don't give Xbox credit for, and even Bethesda, really Bethesda is the one that really started this, is allowing creators to make content. and allowing them, you know, this plethora of tools that sit before them to make something that they want to make. And it intrigues the heck out of me, because I didn't look at Helldivers 2 and was like, this is a trash game. I looked at it and I was like, okay, this reminds me of like Starship Troopers and some things that, you know, us old heads would understand. Some of you in the chat may not understand, but I was like, you know, like even like the For Democracy stuff, like it was funny to me, because I'm like, you know, where are we at as far as like allowing people to do things? And I feel like there's going to be a more open dialogue, because these people who I consider devs at this point, even though they probably might be doing this on their spare time, you don't know, might be a part of the team. You know what I mean? Like, just like, hey, like, can you do this for us today? And I think every aspect of what they're creating is absolutely, number one, it's logical as a Halo's lore. You know what I'm saying? And number two, it's bringing something different for somebody like me who says I don't want to play other people because I get destroyed. I think it's a very thoughtful way of going about it. And the funny part to me is that when this comes out, if Sony continues with this PSN thing with Helldivers, these PC players might go to that. You have no idea.
And it's free to play, PS, by the way.
It's so, this might be, I mean, I'm surprised, because like when you know, everybody was like, oh, it's going to come out relatively soon, I was like, and then all of a sudden today, or, you know, when I woke up this morning, I'm like, well, why is Helldivers doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
Xbox, if you're going to be in Halo Infinite, you already know you got to have a link, which, like Fuzzy said, that link is much easier because it's within Windows. Like, my Windows account is my Xbox account. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like Google. Like, you know, if PSN was like, hey, like, we can go to your Google and you can make an account super easy, I don't feel like PlayStation is going to do that. So with them doing this and then this coming out, it's like, okay, like, people might be super intrigued, because I mean, what better, you know, of the human race in gaming than to be a Spartan? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and the Halo TV show, you could hate it or love it. I mean, apparently Sony's trying to buy it. That's for another day. But just think about that, okay? Like, when the suit's on and it's no holds bar, you feel like a god when you're in that.
Powered. Yes.
You know, it's like power armor when you go to Fallout. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like you can take on anything. Does that happen? Probably not. But it's just that gravitas to like, hey, if they're doing all this work and they're not part of 343, why not support them? And I think at the least, I think Xbox and PC gamers, they would be the ones to be like, this is going to be cool. And we're down for it. And we wanted something like Helldivers. And there you go. And I think it's honestly the perfect timing for it. And I think it's going to hit different for some people, especially you, Boom. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you have no idea how excited I am for this, because again, it is PvE. You'll be jumping in with friends and you'll be doing your thing, and there's bosses, and it's procedural, and you're going to be upgrading your equipment, and you're going to be upgrading your character. I mean, this sounds like a mode that was funded by Microsoft. Real quick, shout out to Julia, who drops a very generous 250 super chat and says, "A tough week. My friend's boy has passed away." Dude, that is terrible. Our hearts go out to you, and obviously your friends, especially, because that's a tough go. Any kind of loss is big, but when it's your kids, I can't even imagine how bad how tough that's going to be. So again, condolences to your friend's family. Uh, Fuzzy, again, I want to keep it on track, but Factundo B actually said something that Crispy Bomb said, and he has confirmed it. Boom, Helldivers is getting review bombed on Steam because of the recent news, and that's probably what's going to happen. It's probably going to have a user score of like 2, because PC players don't submit easy, and I'm sure that they don't like this. But let's keep it on track and let's talk Hell Jumpers, because there is a lot to get excited about. And if you don't know who the Forge Falcons are, they are like legit forgers. Now, the only forger that I personally know is John from Xbox Era. And I don't think he's a part of that team, but he's a big Forge guy. So much so that he's actually, I worked with 343. That's how big of a deal he is there. And this sounds absolutely phenomenal. It is Hell Divers, what the skin of Hell Jumpers, and Hell Jumpers obviously are the ODST drop shot troopers that we saw in ODST. And this sounds freaking amazing. Let's talk about it.
Well, it's just awesome that, a lot of kind of like what Chris was saying with even Bethesda and stuff like that, and it goes to things like even Forza, or more so Horizon. They have like these Forge like tools as well, but it's awesome that we have these tools to be able to create these modes, even if the developers either don't get the chance to or don't get a green light for some of the projects they would like. Well, the community will find a way and create these modes. So that's awesome just to have that access. But the fact that, even though I know, Phil is probably trying to figure out some sort of way to get Hell Divers, but in some sort of way, it's actually better that it opens up this opportunity for Hell Jumpers to exist as a Forge mode that, hey, they will definitely be able to get a good idea of how popular that type of mode would be on this platform. And if it shows that, hey, in a matter of weeks, it has actually more people playing it than what is listed currently on Steam before the PSN requirement, then, well, one, that'll probably open up Sony's eyes even bigger. Hey, we should probably put gas games over there as well. And two, it's going to show that, maybe some of those passion projects that 343 kind of kicked around and got rejected earlier on for whatever reason with previous management. Maybe they revisit that circular file and pick some of them out of there and get somebody on it as soon as possible, type of thing. But to have something that they're making a mode on a game that's loosely based on stuff in the lore of this game, so it's like Helldivers kind of borrowed some lore from Halo to some extent. So now Halo is going to, through the community, show how you could put that to better use or have a more cohesive story and things within it. So I'm looking forward to it. I loved Helldivers from jump. Not too worried about the whole PSN thing because, like I said earlier, I already linked my PSN to Steam and my Xbox account to Steam and my EA and my Ubisoft accounts there. So for me, it's not that big of a deal because I kind of see the direction that everything's going. Everything's pretty much going to be like platform A, B, and C. And then, you're going to link to other ones that play those games that you may own from that other platform on whatever device you decide to use, type of thing. But all of that aside, this whole Hell Jumpers thing is pretty much what I wish Microsoft would look closer at And
Yes.
if the Falcon Forgers were able to be recruited or able to be kind of taken under the wing, I know sometimes they kind of frown on having modders as, you know, making them an official team, but sometimes it might be needed, even if it's just for support on some of these things. And if you see that it creates more engagement, I can't see why they can't. I wouldn't say throw them a bone, but figure out something on how to either, you know, make them contractors, sponsor them for some of these projects, or
Yes.
find a way to do continued support for some of these projects, give them the credit, and maybe make them an offer and see if they can't, you know, be a part of the 343 team or a small projects team or something. That to me makes the most sense. But looking forward to when this thing launches, hopefully in June. The sooner the better. Kind of like what Crispy said. If people start falling off from Helldivers because of that PSN thing, hey, we got something over here for them. It'll be ready in June. So we'll see how it goes.
You know what's interesting? Now, you said you hope that 343 or Microsoft would work with the you know, the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting, Dreadpool, is the fact that there are rumors that we're going to get something Halo related in June. This is supposed to drop early June. Coincidence? I think not, kind sir. Now, what is supposed to drop in June? I have no idea. The rumor is something Halo. Well, we do know that Certain Affinity has been working on a project that got so big, it had to change direction. Is that a single player, story driven, ODST type of game? I mean, I would love it. And I think many people would love some single player Halo as much as I am a freak master when it comes to playing Halo multiplayer. And I freaking love it. It could be any day of the week at any time. I jump on for an hour or two and just have a blast, right? Never gets old for me. I love it. But we're all yearning for some Halo single player, right? But this, what the Forge Falcons are doing, is special because obviously there's a want for it. Look at what happened with Helldivers. It exploded on the scene. It had hundreds of thousands of people playing this game, and it's a really good game. What's interesting about what they want to do with Hell Jumpers is that it is part of the free to play aspect of Halo Infinite, and people from PC, which seem to already have broken out the torches and the pitchforks for Helldivers 2, may actually, according to something that Fuzzy said, go over to this free to play mode. What are your thoughts, Dread?
My thoughts are it's about damn time. We need to get some of this stuff out there, right? We need to get more going on. You know, Halo was supposed to be a platform, right? So Halo Infinite was supposed to be a platform that they were going to build off of, right? So we were going to have, in theory, ODST going on the ring there. We're going to have other storylines that were going to be on there. What happened to all that? You know what? Who cares now, right? Because we've got guys that are building this stuff for us.
Yep.
So if we're going to have Hell Jumpers, cool. You know, I don't care if it's ODST. I don't care if it's another Halo team. Whatever the storyline is, cool. Let's just bring it on. Let's get this going. Show Microsoft and Xbox and 343. This is the demand. We've been asking for this stuff. We've been wanting this stuff. And if you can't do it, these guys are going to do it for you. You know, and whether or not they bring them on the team, you know how that goes. Sometimes they bring them on, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they take the credit. But at least they'll, you know, hopefully they'll give them that credit for the work that they've done, and maybe use that as inspiration to, I don't know, do something that they should have done for us from the get-go. You know, we've been asking for this, and who knows what's going on in their minds. Obviously, the old leadership didn't pay attention to anything, right? They had their coders, they had the programmers, they had everybody that was just used, and then when their services were done, they were done, and then they realized, oh, we got to maintain this, you know, and here we are with this, you know. So now we got guys that are maintaining and adding to Halo, We've had so many modes that they've borrowed from the past. You know, remember zombies when we used to play that, and it's like, okay, you go green. You know, once you die, now it's already part of the system. You know, it's there, and that's what we want. We want that stuff, and hopefully we can give these guys credit for bringing this in. And maybe we can get some storylines back. You know, maybe we can get something like that. I don't know. Maybe we can get some old school Halo, right? Get it dark, get it creepy, get it bloody, and bring back the flood. Bring back that scariness of, oh
Horror
man,
element.
I'm gonna die because I got so many of these little flood heads coming at me. You know what I mean? And then you got these big tanks coming at you, and you're like, you're running backwards. You know, stuff like that. You know, and if that's what it takes, is for guys that are working at the forge, to do this, fine, so be it. I'm all about backing them up, you know, and give them praises for what they've done. We need this, unfortunately. I don't understand why we need them, but look at what the situation that they put us into. This is why we need them. You know, they should have been there just to add on different maps. But it's funny how some of these guys are just so creative with what they do that they just build more than just a map. You know what I mean? It was essentially just maps and play styles. You know, you got Griffball, you know, all this stuff just stemmed from Forge. You know, so why not? You know, Disney Infinity did the same thing. They still got guys on PC building stuff, and it's like, it's amazing how these people are doing this stuff. And I'm happy to see Halo continuing on because of these people.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think you make some great points. I think everyone has made some phenomenal points. Again, this is coming out in June. What I love is they're not afraid to delay it. If they feel that it needs a delay because they want to get it right, they've already said that that's what they're going to do. I agree with everyone about maybe bringing these guys on. If this new mode becomes as big as I think it's going to be, you're gonna have to bring these people in full time. Sorry, it needs to be done, because obviously you don't want it to end with just one map, because it's going to be one map. That's what they're starting out with. It's a map. It's going to have the drop pods. It's going to have everything that you find in Helldivers, you're going to get in Hell Jumpers, and I am thrilled to know about it. I know. So EJ Jackson, before we get everyone out of here and do outros, I know you had sent over a code. For some reason, Xbox Live seems to be there. The social aspect is down. I've been trying for the last 15 minutes to pull up my messages, and I can't. It keeps telling me, oops, that's not available, which I've even used the game bar, and I cannot pull up any of my messages. And anyone else having that problem, EJ, listen, I will find what you sent. Yeah, see, it said it again. Oops, that didn't work. So something's wrong with Xbox Live. What I will do, EJ, is I will find whatever you donated and give that away on Monday's Xbox show. So thank you again for the crazy generosity, as always. And again, I don't know what it is, but you said check your messages, so I'm assuming that's what it is. And we'll give it away on Monday. I just cannot load my messages. It's the weirdest thing that I can't do that here. And I tried it on through the game bar. I'm getting nothing. And through Xbox.com, I'm getting nothing. So there's something wrong with Xbox Live, and that sucks. So EJ Jackson, thank you so much for that. Real quick, Joe Dunmore in the chat. First of all, kind sir, welcome to the Gray Beards. He's 51 years old. He's celebrating his born on day. He says, just reached level 51 in the Game of Life Standard Edition. So happy birthday to you, Joe. Appreciate you being here as always. Look, folks, we got to everything, which is a great show. Obviously, we probably could stay another 2 hours because there is a lot of news, but we're gonna get everyone out of here to start your Friday early, because I got some things to do on the back end that cannot wait. So we'll start with the outros. Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, kind sir. Where could people follow you on social media? And more importantly, what else you got going on?
At Chris Baum on Twitter, Chris Baum 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Breakfast with Boom, Fridays, 10 a.m. And you never know where you'll find me, but it's usually on a whim. We'll see you then.
We always appreciate when you just happen to pop in, whether you're scheduled or not. And again, you knocked it out of the park, as per the norm. You've been doing great, and great points across the board. Phenomenal interaction with the community. We had over 600 people here today, which is pretty awesome. And the chat, you guys and gals were on fire. Today was a fun show. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? Where, of course, it's the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. What other shows you'll be guesting on? And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
As always, awesome being on here with you guys. Glad we got Dreadpool on here, and always love being on this podcast here with Crispy Bomb. You guys are always awesome to me. I greatly appreciate the opportunity here. Thanks to everybody in the chat for interacting with us, just showing up, supporting us. We greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me later on tonight on Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Then tomorrow on PTK Blam channel, me, PTK, and Pong will be on the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Sunday, me and 3-Bit will be doing PXE, basically Pixelated Echoes, new podcast, talking a little bit about everything gaming, basically, and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Watch us at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echo. And then hope to see you guys right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon, right here on this channel. Hope to see you there. Thanks again.
Thank you. Shout out to Boss Mod Lethal Papa, literally the greatest modder in the history of podcasting. He has done an amazing job keeping the trolls away, not feeding them, and sending them to Hades where they belong. So shout out to you, Boss Mod Lethal Papa, for always being here and giving us the ridiculous justice, as it were. I put it this way: he walks silently like a ninja, but carries a very big band stick. So don't get out of line with Lethal doing what he does best. And lastly, and this is both exciting and also a bit of a cumbersome sadness. Dreadpool obviously made the show today. He's been hung up with work the last couple of weeks, but unfortunately, he's going to have to leave the show and show up sparingly because of work. Work has been really kicking his rear, and obviously, what he wants to do is, take care of business, and he will join us sparingly when he has the opportunity. Dreadpool, thank you so much for being a part of Double Barrel Gaming, but more specifically, Breakfast with Boom. Talk about it, brother.
You're gonna make me cry, man. So yeah, I love you guys. I really appreciate the time we've had together. This isn't a goodbye. This is for now.
This is just kind of a pause.
It's just
pause the game, so to speak.
Exactly. I got to get up and get some chips and a drink. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, work is kicking my butt, and it's getting worse. We're building up so much. I'm back up to like 70 hours plus. I literally worked last night again and didn't get any sleep yet. So, but it's been a pleasure being here with you guys on the panel and everybody in the chat. Just know that, I will be back for special occasions for now. But it's like I said, it hurts. You know what I mean? I hate to do this, but it's just one of those necessities. So just let you guys know. As soon as my computer broke down today, I was like, I gotta get on this. I gotta say my piece with you guys. I didn't want to just exit and not show up and just somebody say, hey, he's no longer here. So again, love you guys, and just realize I support everybody. Everybody still has my love.
And we love you back, brother. That's for sure. You are our brother, and obviously, listen, your hot takes are going to be missed, but he's not going away forever, folks. He's gonna join the cast sparingly. I would imagine that any like ginormous announcements, you'll find Dreadpool here, because obviously he's going to want to talk about it, and we'll get him in, we'll get him out. Because obviously, when you're working overnight and you got to come here to a show in the morning, sometimes you're dragging your wagon, so to speak, and obviously his health comes first. But he'll, like I said, he's again, it's not farewell. It's, hey, I'm going to take a pause in the game. Dredd, we love you. We appreciate all the hot takes and the pointed opinions that you've given us over the years. And obviously, you're going to be back. So thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Yeah.
I know it's tough, brother. And you know what? We love you. We love the emotion.
And then there was one.
Well, we appreciate we appreciate it, Dredd. Thanks so much. Any closing words to the community before we get on out of here?
Just treat each other like family. You may have your arguments. You may have your arguments, but again, we're all family here. It's all community, and be respectful, and just remember, just because we don't agree doesn't mean that we're wrong or the other person's right or any of that stuff. It's your opinion, your outlook, but get a chance to learn from each other and grow from each other. So.
Now, great points, and obviously, real life points, folks. Treat people how you want to be treated. Real simple stuff. Be a good human. That's the best we can do. Sir X-Man drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, use Halo 5's mechanics in that next mode. Perfect fit. I disagree because I'm not a big fan of Halo 5, especially the multiplayer, but that's just a me thing. Appreciate the generosity. Raiden Blade, who's been a channel member for 35 freaking months, dude, that is crazy generous of you. He says, hey, just arrived. I am a bot that hates pony bots. I don't care about ponies, but King David was right with what he said. Leave. We're better off without you. He's not talking about you, Dre. He's talking about the
I know
about people, the mustard hearts, if you will, of the Xbox community.
I was lurking yesterday.
Okay, excellent. That was a fun show.
Good points.
Yeah, that's up with that whole conversation with King David's up as one of the shorts that I did. It's tracking really freaking well. So I'm gonna continue to do that. But again, a big thank you to all of the super chats, all of the continued support through channel membership. We are incredibly humbled and grateful beyond words for the support that we've gotten over the last 5.5 years that we've been doing the channel. So a big thank you to everyone that continues to support Double Barrel Gaming. A big thank you to the panel. A huge shout out to Dreadpool, who has been a big part of this show for the last couple of years. Obviously, it's not goodbye. We're just hitting the pause button for now. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.